Now we're going to log in, and I'm just using my little handy little test login. And I'm just going to show you a couple things. We've got handicapping, handicappers. As I told you, once you log in, you now have a whole long list of menu items to choose from. So you've got additional race result reports, any kind of notices. You can look at your certificates for your club. You get access to additional forms that might not be available to the general public. You can also see, now I do have to work on this. Some people say they can't see this very last menu item, says US sailing reports, but those are US sailing reports and they're only available to handicappers. We get them as a member of US sailing, and then I take and I put them on our website, but I make it restricted to handicappers, okay? The handicappers worksheet, there's a link to there. Other tools, as you start doing this job a little bit more, you're going to realize that there's all kinds of little tools out there that you can use for setting handicaps, etc. The SP list, an actual printed SP list, which is the speed potential, the class list, shows you the class, the handicaps, and all the dimensions for the class are up there. Okay, so what I want to do first, so after being logged in, so we're going to go to, I'm going to go back over to searches and queries, and I just wanted to show you certificate query, okay, and show you that you as a handicapper, this certificate that I looked at earlier, that was invalid because it hadn't been renewed. Okay, so it shows that it's unavailable, right? This little PDF is only there for a handicapper, so you can always see the actual certificate, even if it hasn't been renewed. Is anybody following that? Are we okay? Mm-hmm. That PDF only shows up for a handicapper once you've logged in. Okay. Now there's another neat thing about this searches and queries. So we just actually got this going, I guess, in the fall. And for instance, say this gentleman, what's his name? Mr. Smith, with this CS30, he has moved to my club. And now I want to bring that certificate over to my club. You can bring it to your club. Okay. Does everybody see that? Member ID right beside the member ID, which is your club ID. You can say bring to my club. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to take that certificate and it's going to move it into certificate transactions, which we're going to get into once I show you OLC. And it's going to become your certificate now. It's going to be in the process so that we can connect to our in-house database system and make that change. Okay. It's also going to allow you to make changes. It's going to automatically renew it for the season. So I'm just going to go over into OLC. So you've got two ways to get into my certificates. It's under handicapping, handicappers, or under my certificates, which is under searches and queries. Okay, so I'm just going to go to my certificates. Now, my registration, when you register on here, I go in and I set your club on your registration so that when you go into my certificates, you only see your certificates. Right now, my registration for my little test registration is for non-member certificates. Okay, so they don't belong to anybody. They're not with a club. These are owners who wanted a certificate but don't belong to a member club. So with these, okay, and you'll see your own. If you're logged in, you will see a list of your own, all your certificates that are listed. Everything for this, usually it's only 2 years. So normally it would be, you'd be seeing 2019, 2020 certificates. But because of COVID, we've uploaded 2018, 2019, and 2020. Okay. It's only because of the volume, strictly volume, as to why we don't do more. Okay, so OLC is set up so that you can see a certificate, you can renew a certificate, you can change a certificate. This little arrow here that has the drop down gives you 3 choices. You can edit the certificate. You can just view it like you would under searches and queries and certificate query, or you can renew the certificate. The most common thing is to renew a certificate. So if I clicked on that right now, it would just say, okay, are you sure you want to renew this? And I would say yes. Okay, you can also do multiple. So I can check mark that one. I can check mark a second one. I can check mark a third one. And then I can go up to the very top little arrow and say renew select certificates. So I can say do all 3 of them. And it's done it. So the reason I'm telling you it's done is because you can also go and see what's pending. So there's this little link here, and you'll see these 3 certificates are sitting in here. And what we call it is certificate transactions. What that is that's a list of anything that you've processed via OLC, and it's actually physically connected to our in-house database system. So I can go into our in-house database system and look right now and see that those 3 certificates are sitting there ready to be processed. Okay, and then we have a mechanism built into the program where we just click a button and it does what it needs to do. We do some basic checking, but it processes them. So the nice thing about OLC is I can also change my mind. Oops, I didn't want Gary Brenner's certificate renewed. I can say, oops, delete that. And then you have a little prompt, are you sure you want to delete it? And I said, yeah. So now it's gone. So I can go back to my certificates. Oh, click the wrong thing. Hold on a second. Okay. So Gary Benner is invalid, and you'll see that there's no transaction pending. Okay, so when there is a certificate transaction in that list that you saw on the other page, you will see a transaction pending, yes. And it will stay like that until we have processed it. Okay, so that'll give you an idea if it's still sitting in there or if we've processed it, and you should be able to look it up and actually find the revised certificate or the renewed certificate. Now, you can also edit a certificate. So say I decided I'm going to edit Gary Benner's certificate. The first thing it does actually, it looks for an existing certificate transaction. So you can make multiple changes to this until we process it. Once we process it, there's a hold put on it, and you can't touch it anymore until we've done the update. Because basically what we do is we create a new certificate and then we update the database. We put all the information back up there. So here's where you can change things. There are limits. You can't change the name of the owner because the certificate belongs to the owner. That's the way it will always be. The sale number is not changeable because my experience with doing this is that it's very, very rare that the sale number changes on a boat, even though somebody might buy another exact same class of boat. It still has to be in our database a different boat. Does that make sense? So somebody has a J24, something happens to it, they go and buy another exact J24. We need to create a different boat for that. It's a separate boat, and that's why we don't let you change the sale number, because that would happen. The sale number would get changed if it was actually a second boat. Okay, so we can change addresses. Pretty simple. You can put in mobile phones. You have to remember that this information is only for you to see or any other handicapper at your club. Okay. Boat and sale information. You can change the boat's name. You can go from flying sales and NFS to NFS only. If this is a one design class, like the list that I showed you online of all the different One Design recognized class. If it's a One Design class, it'll let you do that, and it will pre-fill all the information. It will yell at you if things are wrong for the most part. We think we've caught all the little nuances on things that can be done wrong. There are little helpers, little pictures that you can bring up to show you what the LP measurement is, the head sail half width, that kind of stuff. How to get the corners. Nope, that's not working. Hang on. All right, there it is. No, same. Hang on. I got to look at that. That's not working right. It's supposed to show you different corners, and it's not. Same picture keeps coming up. Nope. All right, I got to fix that. Symmetrical spinnaker measurements, asymmetrical spinnaker measurements, flying sails attachment point, whether it's articulating or center line, mainsail measurements, and you'll note this one in particular is missing the main girth top. So because there's a missing main measurement, there's a 3-second penalty. Then it goes into ratings and adjustments. So it takes the information from the other page and it calculates out the new LP percent on here. So you can see it. And then once you've actually made a change, and I'll show you this in a second. Let's see, I'm going to change this to 30 for the asim mid girth. Once you've actually made a change, then the little save enable will light up. It won't light up until you've actually done something to make a change. Or if I add in the main girth top measurement, you'll note here these numbers under the main, those are the maximums or the standard. So if you enter something higher than these numbers, you can expect there'll be a penalty, or there might be a penalty depending on how it measures out. So anyways, so I've entered that. I'm going to say save enabled. And now there is a transaction pending over here for Gary Benner's boat. Okay, so that sits there and it waits until our in-house Sheena does the processing of the OLC stuff. So what she's also doing, she's not just doing yours, that that table of information where this is all being stored is a culmination of everybody's from around the lake. So anybody who's renewed, anybody who's made a change, it's all in there. She's just going through click, 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 and making the necessary changes in our in-house program, and then pumping out a new certificate or just updating the database if it's a straight renewal. Okay. Again, like I said, you can say, oops, nope, didn't really want to do that. And I am going to undo these because this is actual live data. So I'm going to delete every one of these, because if not, Sheena will renew them and they shouldn't be. Okay. Any questions so far?
Can you hear me, Diana? This is Doug Young here.
Yeah, I can hear you, Doug.
I had a fellow in our club that used to have a perf rating about 4 years ago, and he put his boat up on the hard for 4 years. And I went in to renew him this year because he put his boat in the water, and he was not on our list at all. So do we have to start from scratch again?
No. Okay, so the only information we put online, and what I was saying earlier, it's really just a volume thing, okay? We generally do the last 2 years. Anything older than that, just send us an email and just say, can you renew this? And we will do it in-house. The problem is just pushing that much information. We've got 1,800 certificates that are up there. Pushing that kind of data up there and going any further than that is insane. Okay, and I mean, we reprint every one of these things in the spring. Okay, everything that gets up has a brand new print done on it, just to make sure that we've caught any rating changes that the central council has made or the districts has made, that kind of thing. What is do you have the certificate number?
No, because, well, actually he did send me a copy of his old certificate, but I'd have to go to my email and I'd probably lose
What's
everything.
his name?
Ken Forsyth, and his boat is a Viking 28, and his I think his sale number's 104.
K-Force,
Called
K-Force.
K-Force.
Yeah,
That's it.
certificate number 5265.
Okay.
Send us an email. Shoot off an email and it'll get renewed.
Okay, thank you.
Last time it was in 2016, actually. So that's
Okay, could
6
be.
years ago. Yep. Yeah, all that data is in there. If you have any questions about like but somebody comes up to you and says, this boat that 20 years ago was racing on the lake, but I probably have the data. Okay. I have filing cabinets. I do this work out of my home. This is a office in my home. I have filing cabinets filled with old certificates and class information. I just actually scanned some email from 2003 that I had on a CNC 121 for Central Council. So, I mean, I have all kinds of fun little information here that are just, I can't scan it all. We've got like, I don't know, 2, 3, 6 filing cabinet drawers filled with stuff. So as it comes out, I scan it, but I mean, I do have a lot of information.
Another question, Diana.
Mhm.
You were saying that you can't change the sale number. We had some people that had a boat they bought from the States, and it had a number that some issuing organization in the States put on their sales, but it wasn't related to the actual boat number. Like my boat number is number 14 and the sale number is 14. So they wanted to return the number to the number that was actually the manufacturer's number. So how do we do that? Do we just ask you about that?
About changing it to the manufacturer's number?
The sale number, like every boat, like mine was the 14th boat made, so it was number 14. But apparently in the States, they had a racing organization that had their own numbering system, and the sales had numbers on them that were from this organization.
Yep. Yeah, no, we don't really do anything with the sale numbers. The reason I avoid changing sale numbers unless I'm absolutely sure is more for tracking purposes, because we actually track each boat, the different owners on the boat, that kind of thing. And because the race analysis that I create is I have race analysis that goes back 30 years, and I cannot probably find a certain boat that's changed owners over those 30 years in all those reports, just because I got the class and the sale number, because the boat name will change. That's the only reason I do anything or kind of stop the sale number from being changed. It's more of a precaution than anything. But yeah, I mean, if they want to change their sale number and it's a valid sale number change, then we're just going to record it as that. It's just for record keeping.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Is there any questions on OLC?
What's OLC?
This is OLC, online certificate.
Oh, okay, good.
Online certificate. Okay, so when
I'm glad you asked that one, Doug.
Yeah, I think you might have been a little late. Okay.
Yeah, I had problems with computers. I'm not a computer
That's
nut,
okay.
and it took
all
me
right.
about 15 minutes to get in.
Okay, so if you're talking to me by email, I'm going to say OLC, and I'll show you on the worksheet later on. It's going to send you to OLC, okay? Because we're trying to get as much as possible done this way, because this is going to be the new go-to place to do any kind of change, to issue a new certificate, to get a new certificate. We're in the works. I'm doing some testing. We have testing sites, and I'm currently working with them, and we've got some neat changes coming down the line. In certificate transactions, okay,
Yes.
in transactions pending, you also have the option to edit this. Say you went, oh no, I forgot to change his prop. You can edit it there. You can also delete it because the guy never showed up. He's not going to show up. I renewed it in error. As long as it's still in there, you can delete it.
Okay.
Once it's gone, it means that Sheena has processed it, or I processed it.
Okay.
Okay, and it's too late.
All right.
Hey, Diana.
Diana, a quick question here. When you send us the bill, it's so much on the bill for every perforating that we have renewed, right?
Yes, for every
So we-
certificate that's issued in 2021, whether renewed or issued, that's what you're billed for next February.
Now, this is a quick question. There's some boats that say, I want a certificate, renew it, and you never see them all year. We have to pay for that?
Yeah, we're gonna bill you for it.
Oh, that's what I wanted to know, because I won't just go and renew it. If the guy never shows up, I'm gonna say, if you don't show up, I'm not renewing it.
Well, either that, or you collect his money and pay us.
Yeah, usually the club pays, so.
Oh, well, every club does it differently, and I can't tell you how to do it because I literally, every club I know does it a little bit different. Some include it in the racing fee. Some have it as a chit. Some people just collect cash from the owners.
Yes.
It's every club is different. I
So
don't
we give
know.
the cash to the club and the club pays you. We don't send it to you, correct?
Correct.
If
Yep.
you've already processed it and that club or that owner is no longer in the club, so let's say he transfers from the club, how do you delete it from my certificates?
Okay, so
The list you've got there at the base of your screen.
when you renew or you edit it, and if you edit it and it's expired, it automatically gets renewed. Okay.
Mhm.
When you do that, we've processed it. We're assuming you collected the fee for that certificate. Okay. If the owner halfway through moves to another club, you have better get your money because we're going to bill you for it.
Okay, what he was there last year, but he's now this year's moved to another club. So we don't try and renew his certificate. Will that
No.
eventually that list be amended so that the invalid certificates
Yes.
are removed?
Yeah, eventually they naturally fall off because we only upload. Now for 2021, we've uploaded the information for 2018, 19, and 20. Okay.
Mhm.
Only because of COVID. Normally it's only 2 years. Normally you would only see 19 and 20. That gives you an opportunity if you missed one last year, or the guy for whatever reason didn't race last year but wants to race this year, you can still renew it, right? And it's a volume issue. It's strictly a volume issue on our part and getting all that information up there onto the web, and recalculating all the certificates, etc. It's a huge job. So doing 2 years is a lot. If he was there last year and he had a valid certificate, just don't renew it. There's two things that can happen. As I told you before, maybe with the new club he goes to says, okay, you know what, Mr. Smith used to be at your club, is now coming to my club. There he is, Mr. Colin Smith, Alexandra. I want him now moved to my club. He can do that by doing certificate query, finding.
Just change it there under member ID.
Yeah,
There's the
bring
club
to
right
my
there.
club. There's a little button says bring to my club.
Yes.
It's going to take that guy, that certificate, and shift it over into, well, in my case, it would be the non-member unknown club. But if say you guys were switching, okay, now it would go to Collingwood, right? And you would go in and say, bring it to Collingwood, bring it to my club. It's now going to be in your list. You can change it. It's going to be renewed. It's going to be part of Collingwood now.
I can't do that though if the boat comes to the club, but the owner's different.
You can take the whole certificate as it is and bring it to your club, because we have certificates that move back and forth all the time. Especially down in Toronto area, RCYC to Alexandra to Ashbridges. They're like, so it was just an easier thing than me moving, because we have to do it. Like it's something we were going to have to do, but he was able to do some coding in there And
If
I,
somebody buys a boat, the certificate goes with the person. You can't just bring the boat certificate to your club with a different person's name on that's not a member of your club.
no, yeah, no, because remember, certificate belongs to the owner always.
Okay,
Okay, so if you're moving that certificate, you're moving that owner, not the boat.